7.1.
Ryan, aside from maybe the difference in opponents, you were never concerned last week about the passing game coming back around. What did you think was different about it today? What did you emphasize throughout this week to get that today?
On defense, they were packing the box, a lot of one-on-one on the outside. Middle of the field was available, and so credit them. They were aggressive, and they were going to stop our run, and that's the balance that we're looking for. Is that if you're going to try to stop the run, then we have to be able to throw the ball, and vice versa. And so, I think in 2 games you've seen that, like you said, a little bit different opponents, and there were some good things there in the past game today.
Over to the left, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, I don't know what happened there with, I guess, Tehran at halftime, but it didn't see him come out for the second half. And just in general, some other like sloppiness or those problems. It seems like there's a pretty quick accountability this season. Just kind of what message do you think you're being able to get across this season with the way you've addressed that?
Yeah, when you look at the stat sheet today, it's pretty clear that we gave them 2 possessions. I know one was at the end of the game, but still, we gave them 2 possessions on penalties, or the other one was a turnover, and we got to clean those things up. They had 76 plays, and we had 54. On 54 plays, we had 538 yards. On 76 plays, they had 276 yards. When you look at that stat sheet, you say, wow. But with the penalties, we had 9 penalties, and that's unacceptable. We've got to get that fixed. And we got to coach it better, and we got to put it on the field better. So it's going to be a huge emphasis point again this week, and it's something we have to get done.
Over to the right, Bill Rabinowitz, the Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, you held them out of the end zone. They did have some scoring drives. What was your general assessment of the defense today?
It was kind of a bend but don't break style today, just based on what they were doing. We put them in a bad spot by, putting them back on the field when there was the penalty on the punt. They had a stop there. I thought the way we came out in the second half was good. We came down, scored, got a 3 and out, and that was good, and then scored again. And I thought we could have got a little bit more of that going there in the second half, but didn't quite finish it the way that we would have liked to have seen, quite honestly. But there were some good things there. But if we're gonna be the team we need to be, we got to keep building and keep growing. And there's certain areas that we're going to improve on. But anytime the defense holds another offense from scoring touchdowns, it's going to be a good day for the Buckeyes.
Over to the left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, we saw Julian and Jackson kind of warming up pregame. What kind of went to the decision to keep both of those guys out today?
We just want to make sure that they're 100% before we put them in the game. I'm not part of those things. I just ask, are they 100%? Yes, no, and then we go from there. They're both mature guys, so we'll take their feedback into consideration. But we'd like to get them in the game next week if possible. But we're only going to do that until we won't do that until they're 100%, because we want to make sure we're keeping them safe. It's a long season, but they're getting closer.
Over to the right, Justin Holbrook, WCMH.
We obviously saw it in the Rose Bowl, but again today, Marvin just stepping up when he needs to. You talked about it last week with X. Just what is it like to have that depth and to have a guy of his caliber so young into his career right now? Yeah,
he's very mature for his age. So is Emeka, but Marvin's route running is, again, very mature for his age. To see somebody that's played as much as he has with just the high level of route running is pretty remarkable. And he had a chance to have 4 touchdowns today, I think, right? Because he had 3. And he had the one that they called an incompletion. He could have finished that one off. So, the potential is there. You can see the couple plays he made. He did it a bunch of different ways. He caught a couple slants that got us going. And I think that's important, is that when we're starting drives out, when we get a couple, easy completions, we get those couple first downs, then all of a sudden we start to roll. And that has been something that's kind of happened to us the first couple of games, couple 3 and outs. We got to do a better job with those. But Marvin was a big part of getting us going, and certainly had the big play capability. And when you're playing against a team that wants to really load the box and press you at the line of scrimmage, you got to win on the outside, and he did that for us today.
Over to the left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, Mike Hall left the game in the third quarter. Is he okay? And 5 tackles for loss in 2 weeks. Just how impressed are you with his performance?
Yeah, no, he did it again this week, and so that's good. That's progress. It's not something that we expect him to miss any time for. But we'll see once we get an evaluation of him post game. But there wasn't no concern coming out of it. It was going to be long term.
Over to the right, Tim May, Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Ryan, just sort of the inconsistency a little bit for the offense, like you were talking about. was a little bit frustrating for you because obviously you're calling plays you think will work, et cetera. You know, and it was feast or famine almost. It seemed.
Yeah, and when you play a style of defense like the one we went up against, it's a little bit that way. You know, even for CJ to be, let's see, he was 16 of 24 for 351. That's about the day that you expect. You know, when you're playing against a defense that kind of, you know, keeps it in front of you, it's usually a high completion percentage game, maybe not as many yards. A defense like this, it's maybe not as high completion percentage, but then all of a sudden one goes for 60 or 40. You have these big plays. And that was kind of the theme today. And so certainly things to clean up. We're nowhere we need to be, but there was improvement in other areas too. So we'll keep growing on it, identify the things we got to get better at, and keep building, keep working to that balance too.
Yeah, like the TD pass to Mecca. I mean, they brought the safety, boom, what delayed like streak, and we're seeing it.
That was well executed, and I think that's it. Like when we're playing with toughness, we're playing with an edge, we're taking care of the football, and those are all real positive things. But the negative things, you know, get us off schedule, and we just don't quite execute at a high level, and then it throws you off. And you know, a part of only having 54 plays is because we had a couple 3-and-outs, and so we're just going to really take a lot of pride in our execution and keep growing on it and keep building on it and figuring out, you know, as we go through this year, kind of where we're at. But I think you can see the potential for sure.
Over to the left, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, you talked a lot this week about competitive stamina. How do you grade how you guys performed in that aspect?
You know, I'd like to see the film before we start grading because, you know, coming out of a game, sometimes you think you see things and then you kind of step away and you see it through a different lens. But there were certainly things in this game that I would like to see gone better, but there was also a lot of good things too. And so what you don't want to do is take winning for granted and take a lot of really hard work and some good performances for granted either. But I know there's going to be a lot of things that we need to look at tomorrow that we got to keep building on, keep growing on, and make improvements.
Last few questions here. Clay Hall, WSYX.
Ryan, that run-pass balance looks almost 50-50. Are you telling yourself during the week we're going to run it more than
No.
you usually do?
No. And is that what it was? Yeah.
24 throws for, I don't know how many Kyle threw. But.
He threw 4, so yeah, 28, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's what we look for. We look for that balance, and we were probably 60-40 or more past last year, which is not what we want to do. You know, we want to be able to control the game, and so no, that's the balance that we need. Now, depending on what a team is doing, sometimes they force your hand a little bit, and that's where you have to, if you want to be a good offense, you have to be able to do that, and that's why we, you know, I called a timeout at the end of the first half, even though it was 4th down at midfield, and maybe it was like, well, you know, why are we calling a timeout to give them more time? But I felt like if we get a stop there, you know, we could work a 2-minute drill because we need to get that going. If we're going to win it, you know, we're going to have to win in a 2-minute drill. That happened last year. It's going to happen again this year. We have to be able to throw the ball, but then we have to win in 4-minute drills and run the ball in short yardage and in the red zone. So constantly working towards those things so that we can get to where we need to be. And the good news is we've already played a top 5 opponent, so we've already proven ourselves in some areas, but the only way we're going to, you know, accomplish our goals is if we keep building and growing and getting better in all these areas.
Curry made 2 or 3 plays there. Any chance you played every D lineman today?
I might have. It seemed like there were a lot of guys out there, but Caden's flashed. Caden plays hard. He's productive. He's one heck of a football player. I'm glad he's a Buckeye, and looking forward to see if he grade out a champion.
We're going to stay to the right. Cam Teague, The Athletic.
You mentioned that Arkansas State really wanted to stack the box against you guys, but
yeah.
I mean, Travion averaged 8 yards a carry. Mine was near 6 yards a carry. Just what to say about those two now back-to-back weeks performing, and then the offensive line. I mean, there were times where those two were getting to the second level without getting touched.
Yeah, there were some clean runs in there for sure, and some other ones that could even been cleaner. So, you know, again, we're used to running more than 54 plays. So, you know, if we keep some drive goings and do a better job across the board, then those numbers are probably even different. But I thought they ran hard again, and we'll watch the film and make sure they hit the right holes and figure out what we can improve on. But there were some positives there again.
And last questions over here to the right. Bill Landis, Rivals.
Ryan, it seems like you guys played a decent amount of 12 today, and you know, G and Cade had a nice combo on Trey's touchdown, and Cade had the big catch. Just what have you seen out of that group, especially being down a couple of receivers?
Right.
You know, with being able to get more of those guys on the field.
Yeah, no, it's been a bright spot. You know, Cade had that nice catch down the sideline. I thought that was really good, and trying to get him more and more involved in the pass game. I thought Mitch has done some really good things, and we're going to keep incorporating those guys, as we continue to build this year, and then seeing G in there. G, we consider him a tight end, and he ran some 12 plays, and so that's good. So those guys deserve to be part of the offense, and we're going to keep building in those areas because our 11 package is our 11 package, but some of these other packages that we can start working on and building on gives us some different diversity that I think we need.
Great. Coach, thank you very much. All right, folks, so you asked for it, so we're going to do it. I need everyone who's in a chair